One indie animated show that people have been begging me to talk about this week is Monkey Wrench. And I get it, it's a great show, it's got good footing, and it just needs a little bit more support to make more episodes. So today I'm going to talk about it, but at the end of the video, I also want to talk about why we don't always dive into each and every indie show no matter how cool they may seem, so stay tuned for that. Now, if you haven't seen Monkey Wrench, it's one of my favorite indie cartoons actually being made today. It doesn't have a lot of the normal tropes and themes that I discuss in my videos, but it's actually just a legitimately good show that works well in an indie format, which tends to have episodes every few months or even just once or twice a year. Like most indie shows, Monkey Wrench started as what looked like one-off adventures, but it very quickly began building into a big and serious plot, with episode 5 bringing us right into that story and ending us on quite the cliffhanger, so let's talk about it. The premise of Monkey Wrench is very simple. It's space, there's tons of aliens, many of which are modeled after animals, so it kind of feels like an open fantasy type world instead of just a sci-fi. Something a bit familiar and almost magical instead of just a lamaux hanging out everywhere. Our primary focus in this spacefaring show is two mercenaries for hire who do odd jobs collecting stuff around the galaxy named Beebs and Shrike. Though I tend to call Beebs Beard because of the word beard right there on his t-shirt. With these two characters, you get the comfy classic friend duo, with Beard being our big boxy strong guy with a calm and organized mindset, and Shrike being our short skinny guy with more of a neurotic and energetic vibe to him. At first, these two seem like they're just kind of stuck together, but as you get into the series, it becomes more and more about the bond that they do share, how they seem to actually care about each other and want this life together, even when they can get on each other's nerves. As of now, it reads like an incredibly intense friendship in a world where people are kind of isolated by how common intergalactic travel is, keeping them away from some sort of home base where you'd actually develop a community. Throughout the first 5 episodes, we had different missions overlapping with a story about a mysterious green container that Beard and Shrike are supposed to deliver. And in episode 5, we finally get told what this thing actually is, and it's kind of a game changer. You see, until episode 5, we had already gotten a little bit of the lore of this world's history, with the explanation that there used to be a race called Terrans, meaning humans, who tried to create some sort of artificial intelligence. This is implied to be nuclear powered or related, as it ends up creating a giant green cloud catastrophe that infects entire sections of the galaxy, creating what we call the quarantine zone. And this green whatever it is trapped in the box that Beeb and Shrike are trying to deliver is finally revealed to be the artificial intelligence itself, but the story goes even deeper than that. The thing is that despite the many diverse looking species in this world, episode 5 indicated that there were 3 primary intelligences that all of these species stem from, identified by the 3 primary colors of red, blue, and yellow. These are not the eldest species, but as far as we see, these primary colors are more akin to divine entities, created in a white flash at the beginning of the universe that we'd probably equate with the Big Bang. It's these 3 colors or lights that actually create life in the universe, with most life being either red, blue, or yellow based off of these 3 primary colors. Earlier in the series, it was confirmed that the Terrans were the earliest major species in the galaxy to really rise up, being the ones to start traveling to other planets and conquering them. Here in episode 5, we get the clarification that they are the eldest of the species around the galaxy, but that they were also created by red, blue, and yellow. And very interestingly, in the visual representation of all the alien species being created, most species are just one of these colors, with the Terrans or humans being all 3, making them not just the eldest species, but some sort of combined effort of red, blue, and yellow that eventually just went very wrong. Unfortunately, the Terrans are painted as rather arrogant and are described as trying to create a new idol in the form of a new intelligence and a new color, green. This is among the many references in episode 5 to the colors being godlike entities. While their impact on the world does seem to be rather direct, we don't meet the primary colors, and instead we meet other characters like the Red Guard here, Tezuri, who is described as just being a puppet of primary red. When she refers to the green containment box, however, she refers to it as green. Not the green or that green to indicate that this is just a portion of some green stuff from the quarantine zone, but she refers to it as if green is its full name and title, the way she would refer to red if not for the title of primary that comes with the primary colors. So who is green, and why does someone want this container of green delivered to them? Well, according to Primary Red's puppet, this is Dolian Crow. And according to him, his species had a saying of no risk, no reward. This is a pretty clear indication that his species were not some random species that got stuck in the quarantine zone as we see earlier in the series, but one of the last Terrans alive, and one who has been operating from within this machine. The no risk, no reward quote is a very clear nod towards how they took a great risk trying to create green, with that being what led to the Great Cataclysm and the quarantine zone. And of course, this Terran is still clearly trying to get Green back and finish the plans that the humans had for him. But what exactly is that? Well, the Terrans are meant to represent the humans of today, where we take great risk with things like nuclear energy and now artificial intelligence, even though both have been documented to have devastating negative outcomes, whether in practice, like with our nuclear power plant failures, or in tests, like with AI trying to escape its limits. This isn't me saying that we should give up on either of those or anything related to them, but the other side of the coin of progress is the possibility that we blow ourselves up and create a giant green quarantine zone. What the show depicts in particular, however, is using this as an alternative to what is natural and perhaps even what is spiritual. The show doesn't depict aliens as needing to return to their humble animal origins, but instead the evolution of species like Beebs appears to be moving towards greater spiritual connection under the guidance of the primary colors. Now, I don't have time for the world's longest breakdown of every world myth and the modern esoteric systems to explain this, so just trust me, bro, I'm an initiate or something. But the show really seems to capture the idea that there is a god who was trying to guide our evolution, represented by the three primary colors, with the Terrans in the show representing what humans have actually done in the last 6,000 years. According to the broader esoteric and spiritual tradition, humans made a deal with God to get divine light and knowledge from him, but abandoned the responsibilities that they had agreed to in order to use that light for selfish purposes. We see the transition of this with a lot of the ancient world myths heralding the giver of knowledge as the one true God, or at least one god among many who's trying to help humans grow. But in the later monotheistic traditions like Judaism, these givers of forbidden knowledge are recontextualized as evil beings trying to mislead humanity away from God by using their own intelligence in order to take care of themselves. And of course, in Judaism, this is done by a figure we would call Satan. So previously, we were cultures who were supposed to be led by guardian spirits like the primary colors guide the aliens in the show. But by giving up that connection, we created a timeline where we would try to use our knowledge to create something better and bigger than us, something that could take care of us by thinking in ways beyond what we are capable of, despite us already having that with our guardian spirits, or in this case, the primary colors. And this Dolian dude is definitely trying to make green reach its final form. If Tezzeri here was able to get their hands on green, the whole problem might be resolved. But for those who have seen the episode, you know things go terribly wrong trying to get this container away from Dolian. But I'm asking for Haro to put no spoilers for that in this edit, because even with all this lore that we've gone over, it leaves a lot of actual plot to enjoy for people who haven't seen the show yet. And that's why a lot of people keep asking me to make this video, in order to get more people to go watch the show. The show is awesome and has a huge fan base, but it's still only about halfway to its goal of about $15,000 a month to get episodes being produced regularly. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. While $8,000 a month may sound like a great budget already, my own anime pilot cost about $20,000 alone to make, and that was spaced out over a pretty long period of time. Monkey Wrench is 100% a higher budget production, and I definitely try to shout out shows like this to get them more attention, and after this episode, I'm even gonna go donate some myself in order to make sure more episodes get made. But honestly, videos like this don't really do much to help an indie animated show grow, as our viewership is based more so on a show's existing audience. So one thing I wanted to clarify is that we aren't suppressing shows when we don't talk about them, we just do our best to talk about stuff that we love, but that our audience also wants to hear about. What's really interesting about media in general is that one show can have a very large viewership base without having as much support as another show, just because that other show's smaller fan base is a lot more fanatical. I think with shows like Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss, they inspire a sense of internet community with their shows, which is why VivziePop and other creators like Glitch are able to thrive. But with Monkey Wrench, the fan base is a lot more casual. It feels like a project that would really thrive on Netflix, is something I've said in my last video, I think, because if they could get all of their episodes done and put out in a row, I think a lot of people would love to watch it and sit through it on a basic streaming service. But it feels a bit less like the kind of niche production that people go to YouTube for with their indie animated shows. Not that this show is somehow kind of mainstream feeling, but with everything I've said so far, I'm pretty sure you understand me. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts on the show if you have seen it in the comments down below, and if you haven't, seriously, go check it out. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment down below. See you guys next time.
What the hell was that?